Fear is not the enemy. It is the compass. Where your fear lies, there too lies your greatest growth. But to become fearless, that is not about removing fear. It is about knowing how to walk with it. Ladies and gentlemen, fear is one of the oldest companions of the human experience. From the moment we are born into this world, our nervous system learns quickly how to react to what is unknown, what is unfamiliar, what feels threatening. But what most people never understand is that fear itself is not your enemy. The idea that fear must be conquered or removed is not only misleading but dangerous. It creates resistance, and resistance feeds the fear even more. In the Shaolin path, we do not try to escape fear. We turn toward it. We study it. We understand it, and through that understanding, we gain mastery over it. When fear arises, it is easy to get caught in the surface level reaction. The racing heart, the tight chest, the dry throat. But if you stop and observe it, not as a threat, but as a sensation, you begin to unlock the truth. Fear is energy. It is a surge of life force. It is the same energy that sharpens your focus when you stand at the edge of a cliff, or when you speak in front of a crowd, or when you enter into any space where you are exposed. That sensation that people call fear is just unshaped power. It is not against you, it is for you. But only if you know how to receive it. Most people try to suppress their fear. They distract themselves. They avoid anything that brings discomfort. But this is the same as having a powerful river flowing toward you and trying to stop it with your hands. The force will crush you. Instead, the way is to step back, observe the river, and understand its movement. Then build a channel. Let it flow. Let it serve your movement instead of blocking it. At the Shaolin Temple, we do not teach the students to run from fear. We place them into it. We expose them to the edge of their limits, not to break them, but to reveal to them the truth. That fear is nothing but a message. And the message is simple. You are about to grow. But the ego resists this. The ego wants to stay in control. It wants safety, certainty, repetition. It does not want to step into unknown territory. That is why most people live with constant anxiety, not because the world is dangerous, but because they are trying to protect a version of themselves that is too fragile to evolve. True fearlessness comes not from eliminating fear, but from letting go of this fragile self. When you feel fear, do not label it. Do not say this is bad, this is wrong, this should not be happening. These judgments only increase the suffering. Instead, breathe into it. Feel the space behind the sensation. Watch it move through your body. Do not resist. Allow. What you allow loses control over you. What you resist persists. In one of the ancient teachings, it is said that the warrior walks into the battlefield not because he is without fear, but because he has learned to carry it as a companion. The fear sharpens his senses, makes him present, brings him fully into the now. But it does not control his hand, it does not cloud his mind. Why? Because he has trained not to react, but to respond. Not to panic, but to remain centered in movement. This is the core. You must train yourself to feel fear without becoming it, to see the storm without being swept away, to hear the noise but remain in silence within. The only way to do this is by creating space between the trigger and your reaction, and that space is created through awareness. Awareness is cultivated through stillness, through watching the breath, through repetition, through letting go, through daily practice, through discipline. You cannot become fearless by wishing for it. You must train your body, your mind, and your spirit to move as one, even in the presence of fear, especially in the presence of fear. In many of my teachings, I remind students of a simple truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not even your fears. You are the one who observes all of these. When you return to this center, you remember that fear is just a visitor. It comes and goes. But you remain. The mind plays tricks. It tells you that fear means stop, that fear means danger, that fear means turn back. But often the fear arises not because something is wrong, but because something is changing, because you are expanding, because you are about to touch a part of life you have never touched before. So many people never grow because they mistake the signal for the stop sign. They think fear is telling them to run, but fear is telling you to pay attention, to be present, to move with awareness, to trust your training, to open yourself to the unknown. This is why fear is a gift, because it shows you exactly where your work lies. It points you to the edge of your current self, and that edge is where transformation begins. You cannot evolve by staying comfortable. You cannot become free by avoiding the feeling. You become free by going through it with clarity, with strength, with awareness. There is no secret technique to this, no shortcut. Only practice, only repetition, only returning again and again to the place where your fear arises, and standing firm in presence, not to fight it, not to remove it, but to witness it fully, until you understand it so deeply that it no longer holds power over you. This is how you become fearless in any situation, not by becoming harder, but by becoming clearer, not by resisting fear, but by seeing it for what it truly is. Energy that is waiting to be shaped into strength. And this is where your training truly begins. To become fearless is not to remove fear, but to remain unmoved by it. And this is only possible when you cultivate stillness within yourself. Stillness is not the absence of noise, but the ability to stay centered when the noise is loud. It is not about standing in a silent room, but remaining present when the world around you is in motion. Stillness is mastery, and fear cannot survive in a mind that is still. Most people confuse reaction with strength. They think quickness means power, but the one who moves fast without awareness is not powerful, only impulsive. You see, in the training halls, we do not only train the body to move, we train it to stop. We train the student to hold a posture until their legs tremble, until the thoughts scream to escape, and in that moment, they meet the chaos within. And if they can stay without reacting, they begin to find the doorway to fearlessness. Fear often arises in moments where we feel we must do something immediately, we must fix, we must speak, we must act. But the truth is, action without clarity leads to more fear. So we train not to act from fear, but from understanding. Stillness gives you that understanding. It is the space between the stimulus and the response. In that space you find your power. Imagine walking into a room full of tension, people waiting, eyes watching, maybe even expecting you to fail. If your mind is not trained, it will start racing. Your breath will become shallow. Your body will begin to tighten. You will feel the need to prove yourself, to say something, to move quickly. But if you have cultivated stillness, you will not be pulled by that energy. You will remain rooted in your breath, in your body, in your intention. And in that state, fear has no opening to enter. Stillness is not laziness, it is discipline of the highest form. It means you have chosen not to be pulled by every emotion, not to be hijacked by every thought, not to chase every reaction. It is not suppression, it is presence, and presence is what makes you dangerous to fear. This type of presence is trained, not imagined. You must build it slowly, through breath, through silence, through movement and non-movement. When we sit in meditation, the body still, the breath deep. The thoughts arise like waves. Some bring fear, some bring doubt, some bring anger. We do not chase them. We do not push them. We observe. and return to the breath every time. You return to the breath, you are reclaiming your power from fear. Fear thrives in the future, in what might happen, what could go wrong. But stillness lives in the now. And nothing is more powerful than being completely here. This moment does not contain fear. It contains sensation, breath, possibility. The moment fear enters the mind, it pulls you away from this moment into illusion. But if you are trained in presence, you will feel that shift. And instead of going with it, you will return. You will reclaim the now. You must train this every day, not only when things are easy, but especially when they are not. When the heart is racing, when the decision is difficult, when your name is called, when your hands tremble, this is the moment to breathe deeper, to go slower, to remember that stillness is the foundation of clarity, and clarity is the beginning of fearlessness. If you react too soon, you may miss the truth. If you speak too quickly, you may regret your words. If you move too fast, you may move in the wrong direction. Stillness does not mean you do nothing. It means your action rises from awareness, not from panic. It means your words are chosen from understanding, not fear. It means your presence speaks louder than your effort. A fearless person is not someone who never feels afraid. It is someone who has trained themselves to remain calm in the face of fear. Not calm in the face of safety, that is easy, but calm in the presence of pressure. Calm in the face of uncertainty. Calm while others panic. That calmness is the real power. And it can only come from inner stillness. There is a reason why in the old teachings the masters would sit for hours before making a single decision. Not because they did not know what to do, but because they refused to act from the wrong place. They understood that action rooted in fear creates more fear. But action rooted in stillness creates alignment, and alignment leads to the right outcome. Every time. You must practice this every day. When you wake up, sit for a moment before reaching for your phone. Feel your breath when you are challenged by someone. Pause before you respond. Feel your body when you are nervous before a big step. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Remind yourself you are here. This moment is real. Fear is a projection, but you are here now. The more you practice this, the more you begin to notice that fear cannot stay in a body that is calm. It cannot live in a breath that is steady. It needs movement. It needs chaos. It needs you to panic when you refuse to panic. When you return to stillness, fear has nothing to hold on to. It passes. And what remains is your true self, the self that is beyond fear. Stillness is not something you wait for. It is something you cultivate like fire. It must be tended like a garden. It must be nurtured. The more you train, the stronger it becomes, and the stronger your stillness, the weaker your fear, until one day you find yourself in a situation that once made you tremble, and instead of shrinking, you expand. You feel the energy of fear arise, but you do not resist it, and you do not react to it. You let it move through you, and you remain still, and in that stillness you find strength you did not know you had. That is when you realize you have become fearless, not because fear disappeared, but because it can no longer shake the foundation you have built within yourself. And this is how presence becomes your protection. The reason most people never move beyond their fear is because they wait for comfort before they act. They wait for the perfect feeling, the perfect timing, the perfect condition. But this is the lie they have been told, that you must feel ready before you move. The truth is very different. The truth is that fearlessness is born through discomfort. It is in choosing the fire willingly that your character is shaped. Your confidence is forged, your spirit is tested and refined. When you avoid discomfort, you choose safety, and when you choose safety, you stay small. There is nothing wrong with rest or peace, but if you build your life around avoiding difficulty, you are also building a life that avoids growth. Fear hides in comfort. It multiplies in softness. The more you avoid the sharp edges of life, the weaker your inner world becomes, and the more fragile your strength, the easier you are to break. At the Shaolin Temple, our training is not just physical. We are not just building the body. We are confronting the spirit. Every repetition, every painful stretch, every cold morning, every early rise is not to punish the student, but to show them what they are capable of. They must see that they can endure what they once believed they could not. They must learn that pain is not their enemy, that sweat is not their limit, that trembling is not the sign to stop, but the sign to continue. When you walk into discomfort voluntarily, something shifts in you. The body wants to stop, the mind wants to run, but you stay, and in that staying something wakes up. It is your inner self, the part of you that was never afraid, the part of you that has been buried under years of ease and excuses. That version of you is not emotional, it is not panicked, it is not seeking permission. It is still, it is strong, it is clear. You do not become fearless by avoiding what scares you. You become fearless by choosing it again and again, until it holds no weight. You speak when your voice shakes. You step forward when your legs are unsure. You expose your truth when everything in you wants to hide. And you do this not once, but every day. And with each step into the flame, you burn away the illusion that fear was ever stronger than you. Discomfort is not suffering. Suffering is what happens when you believe you should not be uncomfortable, but discomfort itself is neutral. It is feedback, it is the teacher. You have been trying to avoid, and the longer you avoid it, the more it controls your life. There is no wisdom in ease, there is only familiarity and repetition. But wisdom comes from stepping into situations that stretch you, that reveal your weakness, that test your resolve, and that force you to evolve. So many people live their lives trapped, not because they are weak, but because they refuse to be uncomfortable. They fear failure, so they never try. They fear rejection, so they never speak. They fear being seen, so they hide behind performance. But the ones who grow are not the ones who feel ready. They are the ones who go into the fire because they know the fire will show them the truth. When you sweat, you learn. When you struggle, you adapt. When you fall and rise again, you gain something that no book can teach, no video can give, and no speech can implant. It is earned through contact. It is earned through discipline. It is earned through choosing the path most will never walk. This is why discipline is a gift, not a prison, because it forces you to move when you don't feel like it. It forces you to push when your body wants to rest. It forces you to lead when your mind wants to follow. And in doing so, you begin to see that you are not your feelings, you are not your doubt, you are not your fear. You are the one who chooses what to do with them. Imagine this, you are standing in the cold, your body says go back, your mind says it is too hard, but something in you says stay, stay, and breathe, stay, and move, stay, and face what you fear. And when you do, a shift happens. You have proven to yourself that you can remain grounded even when everything in you wants to run. And that proof builds your power. Every day you are given a choice, the easy way or the way that strengthens you, the comfortable decision or the one that shapes your character, the safe path or the path that makes you sharp. Each time you choose, the fire you make fear smaller. You remind it that you are in charge. You remind it that you can feel discomfort without being controlled by it. The greatest warriors are not those who feel no fear. They are those who have trained their nervous system to stay relaxed under pressure, to breathe deeply in the storm, to move with intention when others are frozen. That kind of person is not born, they are built, and they are built through discomfort. You will not find this strength in theory. It cannot be downloaded, it cannot be inherited, it must be lived and it must be earned. There is no shortcut. There is only repetition. There is only deliberate exposure to challenge again and again, until you stop seeing challenge as something to avoid and begin seeing it as a signal to rise, to become fearless in any situation. You must learn to run toward the fire, not away from it. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because you know who you become on the other side of it. That version of you is not fragile. That version is not easily shaken. That version has met the worst and stood tall anyway. So, discomfort becomes your ally. It becomes the place where your real self is forged. And your fear fades, not because it disappears, but because you have trained your mind to stay calm, your breath to stay steady, and your spirit to stay open, even when the world is pushing back. And this is how discipline burns away the illusion of fear. Fear has power over you only when you believe it is real, only when you trust the illusion more than your own truth. The secret they never tell you is that most of your fear is not created by the moment you are in it. It's created by the story you attach to it. The mind does not fear the situation. It fears what it imagines the situation means. It creates images, outcomes, consequences, and those images are what control you, not the reality itself. The moment you begin to question those stories, everything changes, because fear cannot survive in clarity. It needs confusion, it needs distortion, it needs you to believe that you are powerless. So the question is not how do I become fearless? The real question is, what lies am I believing about myself that allow fear to exist in the first place? You were not born afraid, you learned it. You were not born thinking you are small or incapable or unworthy. Someone gave you that belief and you accepted it. But if you can learn fear, you can also unlearn it. And the way to do that is to question it directly, to take it apart, piece by piece, and see what it is made of. When a student at the temple says they are afraid of failure, we do not tell them to be brave. We ask them what failure really means to them. When they say they are afraid of being judged, we ask them why judgment holds so much weight for them. Because in every fear there is a hidden belief that must be exposed. And once it is exposed, it begins to lose power. Fear says, what if I'm not good enough? Clarity says, good enough for what? Fear says, what if they laugh? Clarity says, why does their laughter matter? Fear says, what if I try and fail? Clarity says, failure is feedback, not finality. Every fear can be broken apart this way. Every fear hides a belief, and every belief can be examined with awareness. And this is why self-inquiry is a weapon stronger than any sword. The reason this is hidden from most people is because the world profits from your fear. Fear keeps you quiet. Fear keeps you buying. Fear keeps you doubting. And so they teach you to escape it, distract from it, numb it, but never to confront it, never to ask it what it really is, never to sit with it long enough to see through it. But if you are serious about becoming fearless, you must be willing to sit still and look directly at the stories you tell yourself. Because the story is what gives fear its energy, and most of the time that story is old. Maybe it came from childhood, maybe it came from failure, maybe it came from a single moment of pain, but it became a lens through which you started to see everything, and that lens distorted your reality, and now you are reacting not to what is real but to what you believe might happen, and that belief is stealing your strength. To be fearless is to be honest. Not blindly brave, not reckless, but radically honest. To say, I feel fear, and I am willing to understand it. To say, I do not know what will happen, and I am still willing to show up. To say, I have lived under this story for years, and now I will rewrite it. That is the secret they are hiding from you. That your freedom does not come from defeating fear. It comes from seeing it clearly. Because what you see, you can navigate. What you see, you can move through. What you see, you can grow beyond. but what remains hidden will always control you. So you must begin asking yourself, what story am I living by? Is it mine, or did I inherit it from someone else? Does it reflect my truth, or does it reflect my fear? And if I could drop that story, who would I become? What would I do? Who would I be in the world without that weight holding me back? This is the real training, to observe your mind without judgment, to hear your fear without obeying it, to separate the voice of truth from the voice of panic. And it takes time, it takes presence, it takes deep silence, because in silence the story begins to reveal itself. Not the loud story you speak, but the quiet one that shapes your decisions, the one you never say out loud, but always live by. And when that story is exposed, when you finally see that it is made of nothing but assumptions and memories and projections, then you will feel something rise inside you. Not courage, but clarity. Not noise, but stillness. And in that moment, fear loses its mask. It stands there empty, and you see that it was never as strong as you believed. This is why the journey to fearlessness is not external, it is internal. It is not about building more armor, but removing what is false. It is not about becoming someone else, but remembering who you were before fear told you otherwise. When you understand this, you stop waiting for fear to leave you. Start walking with it, not as your master, but as your companion. You let it speak, but you no longer listen. You feel it rise, but you do not bow to it. You see it in others, but you do not absorb it. And in doing so, you become something rare. You become untouchable, not because you do not feel, but because you do not flee. The power you are looking for is already inside of you. It has always been there, hidden beneath layers of conditioning and doubt and distraction and fear, has only ever been the fog that covers that light. Once the fog is cleared, the light does not need to be created, it only needs to be revealed. And this is how the truth makes you fearless.